What is up, everybody? We are back with another episode. This time we have Parker J. Smith on the podcast. I'm doing this stupid. Remember, like DX used to do this shit. Like, I don't know if you used to watch wrestling back in the day, but like DX would do this shit. Anyways, Parker J. Smith is on the Built Device podcast. Parker, thanks for coming on, man. This is going to be a great episode. So let's get right into it. Right. So you were a valedictorian. You were a D1 athlete. Then, let's see. You had a full scholarship. So let's start with that, right? So what sport? First of all, what sport were you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I was a soccer player. So in high school, I was a valedictorian with an S. It's not number one. It's like you're like number 2 or 3. You're like right up there. So I was not a valedictorian in my class, but I was really damn near the top. Was like all AP honors, all that nonsense in high school that you think is important. And I went to a college called NIU, Northern Illinois University. I'm from Chicago originally. So, not too far away, kind of in my backyard, and ended up going there to play soccer, study biomedical engineering, designing like pacemakers, prosthetic limbs, stuff like that. I had a particular interest in that type of work. And yeah, was in college. We had a fantastic college season. We ended up winning the MAC, which was our tournament.
Ooh.
The conference we were on the MAC championship outright, undefeated. Went to the NCAA tournament, lost in the Sweet 16. And then I ended up having an opportunity to go pro. I dropped out in the middle of my junior year of college, like literally on 12 hours of notice. Got a call from a coach that said, "Hey, we're looking for a goalkeeper, and we need someone. We need someone to come play." And I dropped out and packed my stuff. Called my coach, called my my counselor, and said the whole reason I came here was to try to go play pro soccer, and I got my chance, so I'm out. And I left, packed up that next day, put all my stuff in my 2002, what was it? It was a Nissan Maxima, navy blue 2002 Nissan Maxima. Put everything that I owned in my whole life in the car and drove up to Wisconsin, like Madison area in Wisconsin, and ended up signing a pro contract there. Played 1 season professionally before I got injured, and then I was just, fell into entrepreneurship from there.
Wow. That's great. What team, if you don't mind me asking, because I'm a huge soccer head as well as
There's
Alex.
probably nothing I'm going to mind you.
Me and Alex are huge soccer heads. That's why. So, what position were you? You were
goalkeeper.
You were a goalkeeper. Oh, my favorite, dude. I was goalkeeper. Not the greatest, but I was goalkeeper as well.
Right.
And then what professional team did you play for?
Forward Madison. So it's USL, which is a league below the MLS.
Okay.
They're based out of Madison. It's actually the only professional sports team in Madison, and it's one of like 5 professional sports teams in the entire state of Wisconsin. So it was it was cool, man. I loved it. I didn't make any money. I mean, it was like, really quickly realized like I was not cut out for this, especially when I got injured. I didn't love it enough. There were guys there who like it was everything to them. And I thought that was me until I was making no money and I got hurt. And my 2 options were retire and do something else, or spend an entire year rehabbing to try to maybe get healthy enough to come back and still probably not make any money. And so I was just decided to hang the boots up then. And that was I was 21. Yeah, 21. So
damn.
Retired before most people ever start.
That's okay. Yeah. Man, there was a quote by somebody, but I'll just skip it for now because my brain's in a fart. So you played professionally for a year. Yeah. So you played professionally, you played college. Pretty much dropping out of college to go professional. After that, right, that whole entire ordeal, what was the next step for Parker J? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was still living in Wisconsin. I was holding on to a pipe dream that maybe I was going to get picked up by someone, even though I was injured. Rehabbed the whole off season. Then, it came around like March, kind of like when the season really starts to like kick off.
Yep.
And teams analyze rosters and stuff. And my girlfriend at the time, girlfriend of 5 years almost, was just graduating college. And the only place that I maybe had an opportunity to play was like move to New York, play with the Red Bulls too. So their second team. And again, I was going to be injured the whole season, basically on like a league minimum contract, like making nothing. And I was like, well, my girlfriend's not going to move to New York. We had done long distance the entire time we were together. And I was like, maybe this is a chance for us to start our lives together. I started doing something different. So I decided to hang the boots up on April 1st. I was like, I'm retiring. I'm done.
Field Pulse is the field service management software for field service pros like you. Whether you're a small business looking to grow or a large company ready to scale, it's got everything you need all on one platform. Advanced features for CRM, estimates and invoices, scheduling and dispatching, good, better, best proposals, maintenance plans, and price booking. Plus, Field Pulse integrates with software you're already using, like QuickBooks Online and Desktop, so you can hit the ground running without changing everything about how you work. By simplifying your day-to-day operations, FieldPulse saves you time, keeps your team organized, and gives you the tool to increase productivity and profitability. It's not just us saying this. FieldPulse has earned an average 4.8 star rating across nearly 600 reviews. To learn more, head over to fieldpulse.com. That's field, P-U-L-S-E, pulse.com. Everyone was like, April Fool is a joke, right? It's a joke podcast. No, he's like, yeah, for real though.
No, for real it was. And I kind of waited around for like a month and a half after that. I was trying a couple different things. Like I tried to do like a social media marketing agency. I was trying to do some stuff on like blockchain development. Like I was a smart guy. So I was like, I could figure something out. Right. And, was really trying to lean into like tech enhanced stuff, right? And because I thought that was the future wave, I'm gonna get into something elite tech focused. I'm smart, I'm young, like this will be my edge. And my wife or my girlfriend graduated. We ended up going on a month-long vacation together. I'm just burning all the savings that I got. I'm like, fuck it at this point. It's July. We went to Europe for a whole month for like a beautiful trip. And it was like a once in a lifetime. Well, hopefully not, but once in a lifetime vacation. And we got engaged there and we came back, we moved in together. We were living in Wisconsin, still kind of where I was playing because I fell in love with the city I was living in and wanted to stay. So we went there. She started working as a civil engineer and very smart, awesome. Love my wife, Emily. We're now married, but she's best. Literally made all this possible.
Yo, shout out to you, Emily. I know you're gonna listen to this.
You can probably hear me through the wall right now. Another room. But we then moved in together, and I think that was when it really got real for me. Was come like middle of August. Now, like I'm still like the entrepreneur who's really just the unemployed guy, right? Who like says he's an entrepreneur, but he actually just doesn't have a job. I'm driving DoorDash on the weekends at night. My fiance now is working like 50-hour weeks. She's on construction sites. She's like grinding, like she's like properly, working hard. And I'm like trying to maybe be an influencer, trying to maybe do this, maybe do that. I had my hand in a dozen pots. Nothing was making any money except for DoorDash. And then that was, we're like towards the end of 2023. I actually enrolled back to go to online school at Western Governors to try to get a degree of some kind. Because then when I started applying for jobs, I found out I was pretty much unemployable. I couldn't get a job. I had no internship, no degree, no real work experience. I could tell people, I was a pro athlete, and they're like, that doesn't really matter to me. So I was kind of stuck at a rock and a hard place there. I was going back to night school and door dashing. And I ended up seeing a TikTok video of a guy that I used to be friends with saying that he owned a cleaning company and that it was like a really low barrier to entry, easy to start. It wasn't super expensive. I reached out to the guy and was like, hey, I'm really interested to learn more. And he was like, I'll teach you, but you got to pay me, right? It was like very beginning of like info starting, right? And because this was 2023, like info was like still kind of new. And so he was like, it's I think it was $2,600 was what he wanted. He was like, me 2,600 bucks, I'll show you everything, help you set everything up, you'll show you the industry. And I didn't have $2,600 anymore, or if I did, it was the last of my savings. So I went to my fiance, who was the one actually working, and said, "Can we swing this? Can we put 2,600 bucks into this?" I said, "I promise, like I'm going to make it work. I don't have another option." And that was November 13th, 2023. And that was kind of the rest is history moment for me. And since then I've started 5 of my own home service businesses. I've exited 3. I have uh, equity in over 60 all over the US and Canada. Sold Personally sold over $2 million of home services, and through my affiliates and partners, probably closer to 10 to 12 million. And yeah, this is my life now. I love it. I'm a content creator. I'm a consultant. I'm a partner. An owner myself. I'm an investor. I'm all home services at this point now.
Wow. Very impressive on that, man. Holy crap.
And also, like, you took a leap of faith, man. That's not easy, especially when you're in that place, like you're door dashing, you're trying to make it work. Like, what would you say to people who are kind of in that position right now? Like, how do you, like, if you could speak to that Parker at that time, like, what would you have said to kind of, to, either build confidence, or what would you have said?
Yeah, man. I think honestly, what I heard at that point was exactly what I needed to hear, which was nothing, which was, this is between you and yourself. I mean, you can watch all the motivational TikToks all day long. You can, fire yourself up and get all excited and you're ready to run through a brick wall, and none of that shit matters.
It's only temporary. Those are temporary.
None of that shit matters. Like, all that matters is like, are you going to make a decision to succeed with it or not? And like for me, I kind of liked coming from that position of like, my back is against the wall. What do I have to lose? Like, I mean, yeah, I could lose 2,600 bucks. I didn't have a kid. I didn't have a mortgage and crazy bills and all this stuff. Like, I was blessed. I was not going to end up homeless. I had a wonderful fiance. I have good parents. Like, if I needed to move back in with my parents at 23, I could have done that. So there was nothing really, or 22, but there was nothing really where I was like, I'm actually like screwed if this doesn't work out. So all it came down to was, I think the fact that I was coming from a place of desperation probably helped me. It probably made it so that, failing was not really an option. It was like, it was this or buckle up and go back to school and go, start working at AT&T and, be an Amazon delivery driver. Like, those are my options, man. Like, for me, it was this or nothing.
And I love that story of like, listen, like my back's against the wall. It's either kill or be killed. I got to put food on the table. I got to hunt for my food. I love that mentality. Let's go back, right? I want to go back to your first year in the cleaning business, right? Your first official year there. You just made the jump. You're like, holy fuck, I'm doing it. I just paid $2,600 to this guy. Walk me through, like, what was the strategy behind it? How was your first year? Was it like, it was definitely a struggle, I'm assuming, or just like anything else, anything new that you would have to take on?
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment was learning how to be a CEO, right? Learning how to be a business owner. And I'm still learning today, man. I mean, I'm at a spot now. Like, I ran payroll today. I run payroll on the 1st and the 15th, and I had like a 47-person payroll today. So,
Wow.
I mean, now, like, I'm putting food on the table for a lot of people, which is awesome. And I'm blessed to be in that situation, whether they're 1099 contractors or employees or, commission-based reps, whoever that is, right? Partners. But, nonetheless, I think the first year was really just learning how to be a boss and not be an employee of your own company. Cause that's what I did for the first 3 months, right? I went and cleaned houses. I went and, got my hands dirty, and I was over involved in everything. But I also think that like hyper fixation allowed me to really like learn the industry, really, really, truly know it. And I also think that it made me build a lot of respect for the labor, build a lot of respect for the subcontractors and the way that I wanted to run it. The first year was fruitful, to be honest. Like, it was difficult, but it was fruitful. We did like 305 or 307 in top line revenue year one, which, I mean, that comes out at $25,000 a month. In my first year with no experience, we ended up netting on the bottom line like 105. So, I mean, I made 100 grand year one,
Yeah.
which was awesome. Now, granted, it was a grind. Like, I worked all the time and I was obsessive over it. But it allowed me to then year two, I just wrapped up year two, in December, in November. Our first clean was technically November 20th. So, we've been in business for just about 25 months at this point, but, year two did well over 500K in revenue, and, did over 200K in profit. Like, it was a big jump. And that was from really just taking all the lumps and mistakes that I learned in the first year. I think getting myself out of the way, not letting myself be the failure point of the company. And like, I got to do everything. I got to have a direct hand in everything. Cause that just, you're just an employee of your own company, which is cool. But I mean, fuck, it's just a higher paid version of DoorDash. I mean, that's all it is.
Do you think that's where a lot of like new business owners get confused, is like they try to do everything themselves, but they forget how to actually be a boss and be a CEO of their own company? Because it's a little different, right? When you're like, you're a sole proprietor, plumber, or electrician running your own company. I get that. But in terms of like other business owners where they try to do everything, but they forget how to be like the actual boss and take care of the back end stuff of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think even for your plumber, your electrician that you just mentioned, right? How many of them are like, they're trying to do all the sales, all the marketing, they never hire anyone out because no one does as good of work as I do, so I can't hire another electrician. I mean, I see that every single day. I talk with people that are, masters at what they do, and that does not make them a good business owner, and fortunately, those skills actually almost hurt them a lot of the time. Being so good and so obsessed with their actual trade, it can almost be a detriment to you as a business owner or operator because too much emphasis is placed on the trade itself when that's really only a small piece of a plumbing business is how good the plumber is. That's only a very small piece of the company. Probably the most important piece, but a piece nonetheless.
yeah. No, dude, 100%. Like, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so what are the other pieces that they kind of miss, like because we kind of have our trades audience, so it's electricians, plumbers, carpenters, a lot of guys and girls who are obsessed with the trade itself. What are they not seeing about the full picture? Like, they got in, they're an apprentice, they're a journeyman, they're starting their own business. They're like, I'm really good at the work. What did they need to know that they don't know, kind of transitioning from like being that working hand to like being a manager and like an owner of a company? Like, what's the missing what are they missing there?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you have to make a decision. One, how much money do you want to make? Right? Because if you want to make 150K, I would even say like 200K, you could just forget it. Don't listen to a single word I have to say. If you're a really good electrician, you could probably make 150K just being a one-stop shop and being an electrician. Like, you don't need to stress about any of the things I'm about to say. But if you want to make $500,000, $1 million, exit your company someday, pass down a business and not just like a job to your son someday, right? Then there's layers, there's levels to it, right? I think the first thing you really have to understand is you have to understand lead generation, right? How many of these tradespeople are they live and die by that word of mouth referral, right? But yeah, it's like, well, my schedule is predicated by how much my clients want to talk to their friends about me, right? And that's fine. Again, you could get to 150K a year and live a great life on that. I have nothing negative to say about that individual. If that's not you, though, and you want to make $1 million a year, you're not going to get there on word of mouth, right? And if you do, maybe year one you will, or or sorry, not maybe 1 year you will, but that's not going to be able to necessarily be replicated every year. And I also think it's going to take way too long to get there, right? Similarly, let's say you're a master with Facebook ads. Awesome. Facebook ads is a highly scalable channel, but it's still one channel. It's going to be very hard to grow any business to $1 million of profit, even $1 million of revenue with a single marketing channel. That's just really not how marketing works, unless you're selling a $100,000 service and you just need to find 10 clients. Sure, that's not going to be the majority of the audience here, right? So I think first thing you have to really understand is the marketing side. You have to understand how to generate leads from multiple different ways. Can you have an optimized Google business profile, and can you be a hound for reviews and improving your SEO and all of that stuff? Can you also nail referrals and word of mouth and like spreading organically through relationships and maybe, events or in-person like community focused things where you're really meeting people and shaking hands and kissing babies, and then lastly, can you nail paid traffic as well? Can you understand Google ads? Can you understand Facebook ads? Can you find somebody who really is good and outsource that work to them? I would say you should bring it in-house if you're under $1 million a year, because it's just like, it's normally the juice is not worth the squeeze. Maybe $500,000 a year, maybe, but like if you're at 150K a year, spending $5K a month on a marketing team retainer, it's probably not, the juice is not going to be worth the squeeze, especially if you're doing one-time services. If you're doing recurring, it's going to change everything. But we're looking at most of these tradespeople are doing one-time large jobs, maybe like a call out to do a maintenance on an HVAC unit or whatever, but it's not inherently recurring service. Then, I would say you probably should either bring someone in-house like on salary, or have a commission-based retainer with an agency, or learn how to do it yourself. So that's one, marketing. And then, the other big lever is hiring and just getting out of your own way and understanding that there are plenty of people who are just as good of an electrician as you are. There are plenty of people who are just as good of a plumber as you are. You are not the best person to ever do it ever. And if you are, your clients do not need the best electrician ever to do every single job. Like, a lot of jobs are entry level. A lot of jobs are simple. And the more skilled that your trade is, the more difficult that hire is going to be. 100%. 100%. But if you do not make it, you will never make more money. And that is just a decision you have to make. Like, you want the hard of capped income. You got to work 50 hours a week, every week, forever, until you have enough money in the bank to retire? Or do you want the hard of, you got to train somebody who doesn't get it as well as you do and doesn't do it the way you want it done and all of that? So, I mean, if you can pin down those two, of course, there's nuance to operations, and there's nuance to sales, and there's nuance to, understanding data. I mean, I am like live and die by data in my businesses. Like, if you're not a math oriented person, you're not a numbers oriented person, that's going to be a struggle for you. But the main things is multi-channel marketing, and then figuring out how to make at least one key hire to buy yourself enough time back outside of the business to go and learn the other things that you need to know as a business owner versus as that sole prop owner operator.
I think, go ahead. Go ahead, Alex, but
I was just going to hop on that, because I think that's the key point. It's like, when you're a sole operator, you're doing all the work. So you don't have any of the time to run the business. You're just like, you're going to the job, you're doing all the shit. Then you have to do all the business stuff on top of that. So it's like, to your point, it's like you hire someone so you can get that time back, so you can actually build and run the business and not just go do the work, right?
100%. Yes. 1,000 times yes. And I'll get more into like my model at some point and like how I found the best way to do this as somebody who's not a master at the trades. But I think from where, that we definitely have a lot of common ground there, because you really will never be a business owner if you are the means of production. You're not a business owner if you are the means of production for your own company, right? It's like if you own an Etsy shop, but you have to make all of the product that you sell, you are not a business owner. You are an individual who exchanges their time for money. Yes, they set their own rate. Yes, they choose their own hours. You're basically an independent contractor. You're not a business owner.
And I think that's where people get confused is like, I think because they work so long, right, for a company to like build up your licenses, right? Even from apprentice to journeyman to masters, they have to work in a company. And at least in the trades, obviously there's different aspects in every single business. But at least in the trades, it's like you got to start as an apprentice and you work your way up to a journeyman. From journeyman on, you can either become a business owner or if you can just hone your skill even more, become a master. But I think that's where a lot of people like falter or like kind of fall is where they've been working at a company for like 5-6 years. They know the system there, and they want to make the leap. And it's like, well, I know that I'm the best electrician. I know that I'm the best plumber. So I'm just going to work. You know what I mean? They don't have that mentality of like, I got to take a step back and actually think like a business owner. I want to scale this properly.
Yeah, and I'm the first person to say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with the owner operator who grinds. I have a friend who owns a stump grinding company, and this guy makes like 300K a year just as a guy with a stump grinder. And he makes 300 grand a year, and he doesn't want more than that. He doesn't care to make more than that. He has good enough work-life balance. He works, Monday through Friday, and then sometimes on Saturdays. He has his weekends off. He's putting away, well over 200K a year into savings and investments. I guess probably not post-tax, but regardless, he's shoveling money aside. He'll probably be able to retire by the time he's like 45, and he's thrilled with that. And that's great. Don't even open up the can of worms if you don't want to. But if you do, if you are one of the people listening to this who actually believes like, I can make $500,000, I can make $1 million, I can make multiple millions, I can exit this company for multiple millions of dollars, you need to start here. You need to start with a paradigm shift to a business owner as opposed to an operator.
And how do they make that paradigm shift, right? Because to Tiago's point, it's like almost all of what they've done their whole life is have a job. Being a business owner and having a job are very different. It's not just about the labor. There's other elements. So what's the mindset tweak to even kind of get to that place where you're no longer a worker, you're something else, you're a business owner? How do they start to tweak that?
Kind of like connect the dots. Yeah.
Yeah, there's two elements to that, right? The first thing that I think it has to be made overwhelmingly clear is that it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I mean, it's not like, oh, let me just put on my business owner cap and now I'm good to go.
Right.
Like, it's a skill in the same way that you spent a decade building up your skill as an electrician. You're not going to just be skilled as a business owner because you just decided you're ready to be one, right? I mean, that's its whole own educational path, its whole own skill set. I mean, the first thing you need to do is you need to go and research in the same way that you went and researched and build a foundational skill set as a tradesperson, right? And I think that, there's a lot of good educational resources out there like YouTube. There's a lot of good paid programs. There's a lot of good free programs. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to get the information, but I want to make that abundantly clear that it's not a mindset shift. It's genuinely a whole new skill set you have to learn. It's like you don't make a mindset shift to go from an electrician to a plumber. You learn how to be a plumber. It's just totally different. And I think that's where people actually miss the mark, is they think that, oh, well, I'm just going to put on my business owner cap now, and I'm a wonderful electrician. Like, I'm the best of the best electrician. So of course I can run an electrician business and just put on my business owner cap. And it's not necessarily that's not necessarily how it works. And I hate to even not I don't hate to say it, actually. Not, take that back.
Yeah.
It is, there are a lot of people like me who I make my living on the people who are master electricians but don't want to do the business side of it. That's fine. That's literally what I do. My job is I run the business back end so that you can just be a kick-ass electrician and you can make 150, 200 grand a year. that's people like me exist to come in and be an operating partner or a helper or whatever. So that's also an option or a vehicle that you could do as well. And I'm not here to sell myself from that standpoint, but I just, there's a whole other end of this of people like me who have put years and years into mastering the business side. And I put 80 hours a week into this for 2 years now, not to mention, schooling and stuff prior. But I don't know anything about being an electrician. And I'm not going to just expect that I can say, well, I know everything about business. So of course I can start an electrical business and I'll just pick up the being an electrician as I go. They're kind of, it's two sides of the same coin.
Do you think that like a lot of people that are coming in like that say, oh, I should really go out on my own, but they're like afraid, right? They're afraid of going out their own, but they really want to, but they're like, I don't know where to start. And I'm really scared because of other competitors. Because you really got to think, especially in the neighboring areas or whatever, there's like 10 different, 10 different subcontractors, like sole subcontractors as electricians. It's like, how do I compete with those guys? What makes me stand out? I think that's where they get I wouldn't say scared. Scared's a weird, like, weird word, but taken back a
100%.
little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I guess the question is like, how do they get out of that? Like, how do they get out of that funk of like, I cannot be scared. I don't care if there's competitors. I need to like just hammer it in. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, man. I mean, competition is a myth, in my opinion. I
mm,
think there's no such thing as competition, right? Of course, there are people that do what you do. Like, I mean, if competition was a real thing, right? Would McDonald's franchisors or franchisees go and open up next to other McDonald's? No, and they sell the same product, but I mean, all the McDonald's in town all make the same amount of money because it's McDonald's, right? And so from that standpoint, I mean, if you just do the same as what everyone else is doing, you're probably going to get the same results. You're probably going to, if they're all doing fine, you're going to do fine too. And the difference is McDonald's has as a unit of standardization. You have to use the same McDonald's menu, the same whatever. Blah, blah. Imagine if you could have that McDonald's franchise, but you could make the menu better. You could hire better cooks. You could market better. You could focus on your lead generation. You could do everything to a higher level. Shit, I mean, I would be like, I don't care. There's 10 McDonald's in my area. I'm gonna crush them all because we all sell the same. We all got the same marketing. We're the same entity, but I just have a better product or I just market more. I mean, if anything, I would welcome that. I think the idea of competition is it's kind of silly. Um, who wants to start? I mean, the only place where there's no electricians is where there's no electricity. And you're not going to start an
Right.
electricians company in a place that doesn't have electricity, right? I mean, that's it. Like you break it down to simple what it is. Of course, there's going to be competition, but that's the game. I mean, the game, if you could just be the number one choice guy, well, then what would be the point of building a company? What's the point of putting a decade of your life into building something if the new guy on the block can just be number one next week because there's that's just stupid.
yeah.
And Parker, I like what you were saying too before, where it's like, these people, they've dedicated, 5, 6 years to being an electrician, to a plumber, and they just think like, oh, they can just be a business owner. It's like, no, it takes, you have knowledge, expertise. You have to, like the path you took is like, there was someone already in the industry doing well, and you kind of learned from that person, almost like an apprenticeship in business. Is that
But I
something
think it
you'd
was a
kind of
great
recommend to
apprenticeship.
people?
Yeah. I mean, that's like the modern day mentorship, right? And I hate how convoluted like the course and mentorship world is right now because it's just so many bad actors. But the crux of it still stands. I mean, paying somebody to cut your learning curve is the other option. You either pay to cut the line or you just wait in line and you pay your dues. And that's it. And you get the fast pass at Disney or you wait 2 hours to ride the ride. I mean, those are your options. And I think, if as long as you do your research and you know that that ride is the one you want to go on, paying to cut the line is a great option if you have the means to do so. And I think that if you are really overwhelmed by the idea of putting time into something, putting money into it is an easier way to get to the same outcome a lot of the time. On the flip side, if you're really overwhelmed by the idea of putting money into something, putting time into it is the only other option. So, I mean, that's your trade-off, right? We all have a currency, and it's either life force or it's money. And you get to pick, do you want to waste time or waste capital? And neither will be a waste if you really deploy it properly, but you don't get something for nothing.
Yeah. I love the way you scale that too, by the way, the whole Disney, because I've waited 2 hours in line for that bullshit. But
Hey,
it's actually,
so did I. It just went in July, and I didn't want to pay extra. I didn't want to pay for the fast pass. So I waited in line, and that's fine. I knew that when I was going in there.
Yeah.
And as long as you're okay with that, you're okay with that.
But then some people are like, oh man, fuck this line. And then you see the people with the fast passes go past you, and then you bitch and moan, but it's like, you had the
You didn't
opportunity.
pay for that well.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
You had the opportunity.
Absolutely. No,
Oh,
that is the simplest way to put it, man. It's like you choose what line you're going to stand in or not stand in. Unfortunately, again, you really have to do due diligence on if you are going to pay to cut the line, that you are going to get what you're paying for, because that's probably the only caveat to that rule. Is at least at Disney, when you buy the fast pass, you get the fast pass. You don't want to buy the fast pass from the guy on the street corner outside of Disney, and it's just a QR code for like a McDonald's receipt, and now you got nothing, and you spent the $200 on it. But as long as you do your due diligence, and your mentor or this person you're going to learn from actually knows their shit and is going to deliver, then I'm all for that type of stuff.
Yeah, 100%, dude. So going off of scaling, right? Scaling a business, right? So let's talk about to the business owners, everything like that. That's going from like 500K. That's going to go into seven figures, right? What is the most important thing when you hit 7 figures, or even or past like $1 million? I would say, what's the most important thing as a business owner, right? What's the most important thing to keep setting on with $1 million, 1 million, then 1.5, then 2, then 5, then then you go into multi-millions. Is there like a scalable way of doing that? Obviously it takes time, but is there that one piece of advice? I don't know if you ever worked with anybody like that so far yet, but
yeah, well, first I'll speak from experience, and then I'll speak from a hypothetical, because I don't like to try to over glorify my experience, right? I have never run a $10 million business, right? I've never run a $8 million business. I have multiple businesses this year that will do 7 figures, but I haven't gotten to 5 million in a year before. Now I can tell you, to go from 500,000 to $1 million, it's just nuts at that point, right? It's just what works. If you're doing 500K a year, what works. But do you have the discipline, and do you have the nuts to go and do it? And that's probably what it boils down to more often than not. I mean, I can't tell you. And then the other thing is understanding your numbers, right? That's another issue that I have with people all the time. I don't know how much you guys talk about business accounting. I think that one of my friends actually tweeted this, guy, Steve Hunsaker, shout out Steve. He's the man. But he just tweeted this the other day. He said, I think if more sub $250,000 a year home service businesses paid for a bookkeeping service, there would be less sub $250,000 a year home service businesses. Basically what he's saying is, people oftentimes think that really understanding your financials and your numbers and bookkeeping and all that, that's like a later down the line. You get big enough and you hire a fancy accountant and all this. But in reality, understanding your numbers is the birthplace of growth. I mean, how can you know where to reinvest, where to cut ties, where to, move energy and capital, if you don't have a holistic picture of your business and how it's operating? So I think, the two biggest things that'll take you from 500K to $1 million is really having a really good grip on your numbers, and how those numbers, actually correlate to successes and failures in your business. And then the second one is just having the courage and the discipline to double down when things are working, right? And to risk that down month where you don't make money, and I'll use my Christmas lights business as a perfect example of this, right? People ask me, so year one, we did 100K revenue, brand new business model, didn't know anything about it. heard about it on like September 7th. And I said, I'm going to run Christmas lights this year. And we made 107K in the next like 8 weeks that the business was running. And it's seasonal business. It's super short. It's like a very brief opportunity window. And again, I didn't really know anything. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, spoke with my friend Andrew. Shout out Andrew Ramspula. He's killing it. Steve Hunsaker as well, another guy I look up to in the Christmas lights industry. But, I just kind of got a little bit of a playbook from him and was like, mostly free content on YouTube, stuff like that. And I just was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. We did 107K year one. We made like $8,000 in profit. And I worked my ass off, man. Like I worked 60, 70 hours a week for 8 weeks to make like $8,000. And at the end of it, I was like, was that worth it? Absolutely not. But what it was worth it is, one, I knew going into the business that it was not about year one, right? Because we do a leasing model, which means we own all the lights. We own all the materials. So now I'm moving into year two with $30,000 of lights and materials. Okay, great. Second thing, it's a recurring service. Clients need lights up every year. Now I rolled over of those 100 clients, I rolled over about 50 of them onto next year. So now I started with $35,000 of inventory and about $50,000 of revenue that was just trickle over from the year before. Okay. That in itself, like that alone, I probably would have paid $20K for installs, for the actual labor to be done. And, I would have paid nothing for materials or advertising. I could have just done our repeat clients and made $30,000 profit the next year. Right. So it really wasn't that I made $8,000. It was that I made $38,000 plus whatever we make next year on the same clients, plus whatever, there's levels to understanding your data and the information and the feedback loop inside of your business. If you don't understand that, it's very easy to be like, holy shit, I worked so much and I tried so hard to make $8,000. This business model sucks. I'm closing up shop. Right. And that's what so many people do.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. Well, like for plumbers, at least they only get like, I don't know, like they'll say like they made 100K in a year, but after everything, they really made like 10, like 20, like 15. And they're like, why am I doing this on my own? Like I can just make a steady check making 40, 50K a year. I don't have to worry about this shit. But you brought it up to like the service business where it's like recurring and everything like that, right? Where it's like, oh, I can do this like every year. And then the trickle effect that you mentioned, I love that, by the way, where it's like I started, all right, I only made 8,000 this year, but guess what? I'm going to trickle down. I already have all the lights. I have recurring customers. Oh, hey, I'm going to get 50 new customers. Now I'm going to double, then triple. I think it's a snowball effect, right, of how like these things work. And all you have to do is just stick it out your first year, maybe even into your second year, and you'll start to see the progress going.
Totally. I mean, this year, we just wrapped up year two. We had our last install yesterday. So we finished year two. We did over 200K in revenue year two. We doubled up from last year and, same service length window. And guess what? Still barely made shit this year. But the reason why was because I bought another $50,000 of inventory. I went out and acquired 150 new customers, right? I now have 5 winning ad creatives on Facebook that I know just crush. We now have a Google profile with 100 5-star reviews, and I've got a winning Google Ads creative. Now have got a sales team that I know of a guy who just fucking sells like lightning, and we just had a shit weather year, right? We got 10 inches of snow in Chicago the day after Thanksgiving. Basically ruined our season from there, right? We should have been able to install. I had to refund $30,000 of deposits this year because we couldn't get the lights up. It was too snowy, too icy, too close to Christmas, and we just couldn't do it, right? So whatever, right? I'll net $20,000 this year on the bottom line, which is great. It's a better margin than I had last year, right? And really making $20,000 for working for 8 weeks, it's not bad,
no,
right? Like I'm not mad about that at all, but I could have made $30,000 if I didn't work at all, right? Then we just did that math, and I said, I took no new clients and I bought no new inventory and I did no advertising. I probably could have made $30,000 profit and not worked at all. But it's the foresight. Now next year, I guarantee you I'll roll over at least half of the clients again. So now I start next season with 100K of installs. We already have all the inventory. I now have 75 grand of materials. That's all still good for another season. I have an organic presence plus referrals that'll count for at least another 25 to 30 installs next season. I mean, next season, if I didn't run a single ad, if I didn't do a single, forced client acquisition, and we just did the minimum, I'd probably make 40K in profit, 50K in profit next season doing nothing, right? It's that rollover. It's that trickle effect of like, you have to understand the numbers. And you know what? Next year, we're going to double down again. I already know. Next year, I'm only going to make 30K profit, maybe 40K, when I could make 100, but I don't care because I want to go and set us up to do 500K the year after that. And if that's, again, you got to want that. You got to want to sign up for that version of the struggle and for that risk and for that. And, I am totally fine with putting my nuts on the table in a situation like this. Like, that's what we did. I went out, I found a media buyer who was going to help me set up all the ads and do all this stuff. And he was like, what do you want to spend? I said, well, the season is only really, it's like 6 good weeks, right? It kind of goes from that first week of November to the second week of, the last week of October to the first week of December. That's really your money season right there. And I was like, I want to spend $2,000 a day. You got 7 weeks. I want to spend $100,000 in ads. And you know what? We could have not made that back. It was a possibility of it, but I knew we had a blueprint that worked last year. Why would I not try to scale it until it breaks? Now, we didn't even get to spend that much because we had to turn it off because we were overbooked and the snow ruined everything. But, nonetheless, it's that's the mindset that you take when you're approaching things as a business owner versus as an operator who's just how can I make as much as possible this year and put as much in my bank account this year? Those are two totally separate conquests.
Right. So it's that patience. It's having that long-term mindset of hey, rather than trying to eat everything I made this year, if I extend this out 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, what you make on year 5 or year 10 is it's astronomically larger than what you could have possibly made that first year. So it sounds like a big part of it's being patient. This shit
being
takes
disciplined.
time.
Field Pulse understands that no two service businesses run the same. That's why they built the only truly customizable field service management software out there. Field Pulse has just released the newest suite of workflow features called ClearPath, and it's changing the game for service teams. With ClearPath, you can build custom job stages that fit how your team actually works. From the first call to the final invoice, everyone knows exactly what's next. No confusion, no missteps. You actually get to decide your workflow, unlike other software that backs you into their workflow. FieldPulse keeps the office and the field in sync with clear step-by-step responsibilities that help prevent delays and miscommunication. Whether you're installing glass, servicing HVAC units, maintaining septic systems, FieldPulse keeps every workflow moving the way you want it to. If you're ready to make your workflows your competitive advantage, see FieldPulse in action. Book a free demo at fieldpulse.com and start building workflows that work for you. It's definitely being disciplined. I think that's the major factor that a lot of businesses fail on is just not being disciplined, not being patient, like Alex said. And you'll see think about it. You've been doing plumbing for 5 years just to get a license. Being a business owner for the first year, you're not going to make as much money on your own. You'll make revenue, all that, but your profit will be lower. But kind of like what Alex said, the 5 to 10 year plan, you'll be seeing if you put your work in, Parker J. Smith over here, you'll be seeing 500K. Or maybe you can even scale it up to almost $1 million. I think it's a discipline aspect that a lot of business owners are missing.
Totally. I mean, dude, I got to 200K a year in profit selling home cleaning. That's a very low ticket service. That's nothing compared to electrical or, things like that. I mean, it's more than doable. You're going to have to get out of your own way and you're going to have to delay the gratification. You're going to have to reinvest and you're going to have to know your numbers. And that's the other thing is I see people who are well, I just reinvest everything into the business. And it's okay, why? Show me the data that is leading you to believe that you should be reinvesting everything. Where are you investing it in? What's your return on the investment that you're making there? Because there's informed confidence, which that's the birthplace of success, right? Is informed confidence. And then uninformed confidence, which is stupidity. Like that's, that's the birthplace of failure. Is you go and you're like, well, Parker on the podcast said I got to just reinvest everything I make for the first 5 years. No, then your bank account is empty. And then you don't necessarily have something to show for it. Reinvesting does not mean you make more. It gives you the opportunity to make more. That's it.
And it gives you the opportunity to make more if you invest into the right sorts of things, right? Because you can invest into Facebook ads, but like, a good media buyer because you've been in the game. If someone tries to get a bullshit media buyer, and they might not know they're bullshit, but you invest the same amount of money as Parker, but you don't get the same results, and you're like, well, what went wrong? It's like, dude, you didn't know his guy. You didn't know the right person to get the job done.
And you didn't watch the data, right? Because that's the issue, is if you're watching the data and you're like, wait, we've spent $5,000 on Facebook ads and our lead count is super low. Our cost per lead is insane, or our lead number is through the roof. So our media buyer is like, I'm crushing it for you guys. You're getting a $10 cost per lead. We don't fucking close anyone. It's like, okay, so the creative is garbage and it's just getting these shitty little opt-in leads, right? But again, if you're not tracking, you don't know that. Right. And that is one of the biggest pitfalls that I find for that small time business owner, making between, 100K. Like, I'm not talking about the owner operator. I'm talking about a business owner making 100K to 500K. Like, that's the pitfall normally, is not really understanding the data inside of their business, is just thinking like, well, this feels like it's working. And that is my least favorite word in the world of business and entrepreneurship. Feels. It doesn't fucking matter what it feels like. I mean, it's just what it is. If you put $20 into the Meta ad system and you get $22 out, you should put $200 in next, right? If you put $20 in and you got $19 out, it might feel like your revenue is increasing and all this, blah, blah, blah. Logic dictates you are losing money spending it on Meta ads. Right? Like, those are like, it's purely a numbers game. It doesn't, your perception of reality is oftentimes not tied to the actual reality that your business is experiencing.
Man, I love that. I think so many people make decisions based off how they feel. But in reality, it's like, this is not a game of feelings. Obviously, there's some feelings that come in, like with personal relationships, that that feeling you get in your stomach with like business partners or people you do business with. There's some room for feelings, but when it comes to like the numbers don't lie, and they don't care about your feelings, contrary to popular belief.
And I think with the feelings is like, going off your emotional instinct and everything like that. I think a lot of people like definitely make decisions off of emotions, and like sometimes it could be really good, or it's kind of like gambling. It's like when you're dealing with their emotions, it's either really good or really bad. It's like, oh, hey, like my buddy told me about this marketing manager. He's like really good at it. But he'll make you like 10% return of interest, and you follow his guide. But it's like, dude, I didn't get fucking shit. I didn't do nothing. Like, it's those gut feelings, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I had a client, a perfect example of this before we jump to a next point here. Like, a perfect example of this was, I had a client who, came into my partner program that I have, and she was like, "Hey, I'm this is where I've been at. I'm really kind of plateaued here on my growth. We're doing like between 12 and 15K a month, and it's fine, but we really can't break out of that ceiling. And, I'm spending 2K a month advertising here and blah, blah, blah." And we actually went through and and she was an accountant, like very good with numbers. She owned her own accounting practice, right? Super good with numbers. But the problem was a misunderstanding of interpreting those numbers, right? So she was looking at ROAS very linearly. She was saying, well, I'm spending 2K and, I'm making like, we're doing 15K a month in revenue and all this stuff. And so she could see all the line items. The books were organized. Everything was clean. But we went through and we actually just said, okay, what are you spending on local service ads? Let's pick one particular one. What are you spending on local service ads? Okay, you're spending 2K a month. This month 1, it brought you in $5,300 in revenue, which brought you in $2,600 on the bottom line. Plus, you converted 3 of those clients to recurring, which is going to bring you, another $1,000 on the bottom line next month because they're all biweekly recurring clients. Okay, cool. We start there. I say, okay, so what's your next thought? What's your next step? Right? And she's kind of looking at me. She's like, I don't know. I don't really want to spend more, because we're already spending a lot and we're not making that much on the bottom line. I'm only making like $6,000 a month on the bottom line. So I don't want to, spend now $4,000 a month on ads. And then we're, now that really thin margins, I'm like, think about it. Actually do the math. You're telling me you gave Mark Zuckerberg or, you gave whoever at a Google, you gave them $2,000 and they gave you back $2,600 and $1,000 next month and the month after. Would that not lead you to believe next month, why don't we give them $4,000? Why don't we give them $8,000? Why don't we give them $10,000? Right? You don't have to go from 2 to 10, not necessarily, but if I give you $2,000 and you give me back 2,600 plus 1,000 a month, why would I not give you more and see what comes out of it? And literally, this whole breakthrough was just, there is nothing wrong with your business. You're just not spending enough. You want to make more? Spend more. You're getting a return on ad spend. If you're turning 2,000 to 2,600, why would you not go and put 4,000 in and turn it to 5,200? Like, it's just a math equation. If you want to make more and your ad creative is winning, spend more. And she had all the numbers and all the information in front of her, but was viewing it from this standpoint of like, well, I'm only making this much on the bottom line. And if I spend this much more, well, then I don't know. It's the wrong vantage point to view data because that was a feeling. That was a feeling of fear of, well, what if it doesn't convert at the same rate? And now, and I'm not making as much and I need to make this much. All feeling based, as opposed to just, what does the data tell me? The data right now says spend more, spend more, spend more. And until the data stops saying spend more, until you put $8,000 in and you get 7,800 back out, now the data is saying, ease the brakes. Can we bring it back down to 7K and see if maybe that's a sweet spot? Maybe we've exhausted the creative a little bit. Maybe, all of these things. Like, this is where people do it wrong.
And I think, and obviously, you can say agree or disagree to this, but I think that's why so many business owners plateau at that like 150 to 200, maybe even 300K range. Is it because they're not spending money to make money? They don't have that mindset, pretty much.
Either they're one channel marketing, they only use Google, or they only use referrals, or they only use a contractor that, refers them. Like they have a guy, tree removal service, and they have 2 of those guys and they send them the stump removal job afterwards because they don't do it themselves. There's so many people like that have like 1 or 2 little streams of people coming in, oftentimes not paid traffic with this type of individual. And that's why they get plateaued. Or if they do have paid traffic, they just don't spend enough. They have a winning creative and they don't spend enough, or they haven't found a winning creative yet. And if you want to go into the tangent of creatives, I think the biggest thing holding back the majority of people from having success on Facebook or, that type of advertising, I don't want to be on camera. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, it's so embarrassing.
The man has spoken.
Awkward. Oh, get over yourself. Like, get over yourself. If I told you, if I could look at you, Alex, and I could say, Alex, I'll give you an extra 50K this year if you shoot an ad creative every week. You'd be like,
where's the camera?
Easy.
The fuck?
Yeah,
easy.
It's 5 minutes. It's 15 minutes a week, let's say, to shoot a new ad creative every week. 15 minutes a week. That comes out to 750 minutes a year. That's like, it's nothing. 780 minutes a year. That's 13 hours for the entire year. And if I said you can make an extra $5,000 with that, you'd be like, sign me up. That's the best paying job you could possibly have. But, I don't want to. I'm not comfortable on camera. Like, all right, that's fine. You're not going to make more money then. You won't. Like, my best ad creative is me standing on a roof, holding my phone in selfie style with guys putting up lights behind me saying, hey, this is Parker with Chicago Christmas Pros. We're doing a full front roof line. This is our most common install in warm white. if you guys are looking to get your lights put up, we're professional, insured, all this stuff. And we've got just a few more spots availability left before we close for the season. Have a happy holidays. And if you opt in, or if you click the link on this ad, you'll get $100 off your quote this year. That's my best performing ad. No production, no nonsense. Take 100 takes and make a decent ad of you, and put a little thought into your appearance and being friendly and being nice looking, and people will want to do business with you. Of course, you took a stupid Canva graphic and you just put ad spend behind a still image on Facebook, and yeah, you didn't make any money. That's no shit. Like that's it.
Oh my God. The minute you said you started like making fun of like the whole entire people not putting themselves on camera, I'm like, dude, I've seen this so many times where plumbing or electrical businesses, like they're not getting enough lead generation, where it's like, I asked them like, oh, what are you doing for like ads and everything like that? And I'm like, do you put yourself in front of the camera? They want to see the person. Like they know like you do, like, granted, the plumbing, my plumbing friends, my electrical friends, my HVAC friends, they do all great work. Only issue is they don't put themselves on camera. They don't become personable. And people, like, don't get me wrong, people love to see good work, but they want to see who's putting in that good work. And I think that's what a lot of people fail at, is like, yo, dude, like, all it takes is like 15, 30 seconds to like say something on camera. Just be like, oh, hey, I just did this shit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, $75 off your water heater. Call me now. Like, it's something so simple, but then people are like, I just don't get it. Like, if you could promise me, right? Hey, Thiago, listen here, motherfucker. If I tell you, right, all you gotta do is put your face on a camera for 30 seconds, I'm gonna guarantee bottom line guarantee you will be making 25K. I'm like, yeah, fucking, where's the camera, buddy? Like, I don't know what needs to be like instilled in their mind that's like, oh, if you show your face, you're actually gonna become.
Let me ask you this. Let's change it up, right? Okay, what if I said that I would give you a 20% chance that you make an extra 25K next year putting yourself on camera?
Do you run the risk, though? It's a 1 out of 5 chance,
I'm doing that shit. What do I have to lose?
Yeah, exactly. If you're not,
minutes,
yeah,
I'm losing. Even if we did it every week for a year, I'm losing 13 hours of my life for a 20% chance to make an extra 20K. I mean, that is just, again, do the math, the risk reward on it. It's there. Risking $0 or 13, even bill your time out however you want. You're a master electrician, whatever. You bill your time at $200 an hour. Okay, great. Your time is worth $2,600, and I tell you, you have a 1 in 5 chance of making 20 grand from that 2,600. The risk to reward is still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. Like, I mean. And that's with a 20% chance. And I would say for the vast majority of people, it's way higher than 20%. It's 30, 40, 50, 80% chance that you will make more money by putting yourself on camera. I understand you don't want to do it. You got to pick your hard. At the end of the day, is your hard making less money and being on a tighter budget and, and not being able to scale and grow your company? Or is your hard that you have to stand in front of the camera and it's awkward? You pick. Like, that decision is yours.
And also, I don't know why it has to be awkward. It's like, as a small business owner, you talk to people all day long. You're just talking to them through the medium of a camera.
It's just something they're not comfortable with. That's it. And once you do it 20 times, you'll be like, whatever.
Yeah. And I think another portion of this is like your like social media and everything like that. You got to be consistent. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like posting every day, even like, yeah, the videos help, but it's like, I think people want to see that. If people scroll every day on their phones, right? They scroll every day on their phone. If they see you once a day, they're going to be like, oh, shit, I'm going to remember this guy for like the next home servicing or the next whatever servicing I need. If they continuously, see your face every time, they're going to be like, well, I kind of want to call this guy. He's a friendly face. He's funny. Like, and he does good work. It's like, why not? I think that's the key, is like, especially on social media.
I don't even think, honestly, like, I think social media seems so daunting to people. Forget social media. You need to shoot 10 ad creatives. 10 ad creatives. That is it. 10 good video ad creatives. And don't worry about 365 days of posts on Instagram. Yeah. Will that help you grow your business? Absolutely. But is that daunting? Way more daunting than 10 ads. I mean, you don't like, that's it. You could do that in a day. When we decided we were going to run meta ads this year for the Christmas lights, I shot 25 ad creatives in like 5 hours, and we ran them all. And then we just trimmed the fat on the ones that weren't converting. That's it. Like, no nonsense, no bullshit. I mean, that is all you had to do. We shot ads one time for 5 hours, and that took us through the entire season. And we'll probably run half of those ads again next year. Like, that's it. I mean, I think it's a decision. It's a decision of of how much it's really worth it to you to grow your business. And if being uncomfortable is something that you're not willing to do, then your business won't grow regardless. So it's probably better for you to just be the sole prop guy, lean into referrals, maybe try to make your money on Google pay-per-click ads or something that doesn't require a creative, but stay off of creative-based platforms if you are too scared to make a video of yourself.
Amen. Amen. And I think people need to hear this more, man. Like, I think, Parker, going all the way to the beginning of your story, like when you were getting into home cleaning, and you had a mentor kind of teaching you the ropes. People need a mentor, man. It's like, you're not going to really figure this out yourself. It's like, what's the likelihood of you figuring this all out? There's so much content out there. There's so many people pulling you in so many different directions. It's like, you're like you didn't figure out how to be an electrician yourself. You didn't figure out how to be a plumber yourself. You didn't figure out how to be an HVAC person yourself. You got to go to someone who knows it, who's been there, who has the battle scars to be able to teach you, be like, hey, I've done what you're going to do. Here's the roadmap on how to get there. And dude, if you just do this, it's like, you don't have to take my word for it. It's like, I've already done it. I have the proof right here. And literally that's what it is. And I guess that sort of lays up the next sort of question of like, you're in there, right? You're helping people, you're coaching them up, you're helping them through this process. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and kind of, go into that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. So what we do, I'm gonna actually give Steve his flowers here as well. If you are a individual like sole prop guy who like wants to really just like master ads, right? Like that's your first thing you really want to learn, you want to do. Steve Hunsaker is the best person in the home services space, hands down. Go to him, tell him I sent you. I mean, he is the fucking man, right? For your plumber, your electrician, your gutter cleaning, window cleaning guy. You want to add a Christmas light installation to your service repertoire. You want to learn Facebook ads. You want to learn accounting. He's the fucking man, right? Now, if you want to start a home service business, I'm the fucking man, right? So that's the difference. I want to make that distinction very clear, right? I don't claim to be the master of electricians, plumbers, whatever. If you came to me and you sat on a sales call to try to join my partner program, I'd probably just turn you away and say that it's not my area of expertise. Steve could help with that. He's the man. Now, on the front of like new business owners, people who want to step out into the home services space, that's where I excel. I'm start to finish, A to Z, right? So I'll take you from you work as an accountant and you really want to own your own income stream and you want to start a business. I leverage what's called the subcontractor method. So I am very, very good at everything other than service delivery, right? So I might go and actually find a listener like you guys have of a tradesperson who is really good at, I'm doing this right now. I have an electrician who's fantastic and, has their own business and they do their own work and they're very good at what they do. They're bonded, insured. They have everything, they've crossed all their T's out of their I's, but they can't keep themselves busy enough because they haven't figured out the marketing side and they're in the business every day working. And that's what they want. They want to make 150, 200K, over time and like get to that threshold. And that's really their only objective. They don't really want to spend the weekends working in the business back end. They don't want to deal with invoicing and client bullshit and marketing and sales. And, they just want to be a really well-paid electrician. Okay, great. Those people could partner with someone like me where like I run excellent ads for like permanent lighting installation. Like, and that I want to have an electrician doing, right? So I can have an electrician who maybe puts up lights, permanent lighting for $4 a linear foot is what they charge. And if I can pay, or no, it's not, it's more than that. It's probably more like $8 a linear foot. So let's say they're going to charge $8 a linear foot. And I can go and get the materials for another $8 a linear foot. And I can sell these jobs at $25 a linear foot because I'm building in this pad of like 100 reviews, 100 5-star reviews on Google, really nice salesperson answers the phone, in-home appointment for the estimate. I layer in all of these things that legitimate that allow me to charge a premium. Now I can charge this client $25 a foot. I can have $8 for labor, $8 for my installer, and I can have $8 for myself or $9 for myself. I can make a killing off of running 5 electricians who all can do this. And all I have to do is facilitate the appointments, run the ads, do the sales, do the marketing, and then have really good, installers and really good service providers. So my installers can easily make $1,000 a day, which is what they want. They want to make, like I said, $200K a year. They could easily do that working for me Monday through Friday, making $1,000 a day installing lights. Now I'm selling $3,000 jobs, paying $1,000 for materials, $1,000 to them and $1,000 to me. That's all they want. They don't want to learn ads, learn sales, run the capital risk associated with all of it, figure all that out. They can still make $1,000 a day with really no overhead. Their only overhead is like commuting to and from the jobs, but I'm supplying all the materials, maybe their power tools, things like that. They have some insurance and whatnot, but minimal overhead. And that's a win for them. And I can stack on 3 of those, 5 of those, and all of a sudden I'm making $1 million a year, making $200K off 5 electricians that are all making $200K a piece. Like that's a winning formula for business, right? Now, again, I'm not trying to say that like that's easy and that just happens. That's not how that goes. But that's the model that I use, and that's the model that I teach other people, set up for other people. It's very focused on marketing, sales, hiring, or finding the best subcontractors, negotiating the best rates, all this stuff, but not focusing on the service delivery itself, focusing on everything else, and then going and subcontracting to experts for the service delivery. And it's a win for everyone involved. The subcontractor keeps their schedule full, gets a fair rate for their work. They don't have to run ads. They don't have to do sales calls. They don't have to hire more help. They don't have to do anything other than do what they are already a master at. And then I charge a premium. The client is happy because they get a premium experience end to end. They get premium from as soon as they opt in, they get called right away. They get a tailored quote, an experience, and an in-home visit and all this stuff. Then my installer's happy because they're keeping their schedule full and they're making an extra $100K a year working alongside of me. And I'm happy because I'm keeping everything that's left in the middle after the materials and the labor has been paid. So, that's the way I do home services. That's like kind of my niche, my bread and butter. And I started that with cleaning and now have transitioned into Christmas lights, handyman, and exterior services, and a whole different host of businesses and things like that could be done. But that's kind of my angle into the industry. And what I teach in all of my programs, we're end to end. So I build your website for you, build your pricing, build your CRM, build your scheduling software, give you all of your contracts and onboarding materials, help you with your corporate and legal structuring, help you with your tax structuring. We have in-house people for all of these different things, like CPAs when we need CPAs, and lawyers when we need lawyers. Like we have everyone all in-house under the same roof. And then I do direct one-on-one consulting with people to teach them the marketing and sales and hiring side. So that's my model, and that's what's made me my money thus far.
Man, I love that because I think so many people think they have to learn all this shit themselves. What you're saying is like, hey man, if you like being an electrician, if you like being a plumber, if you like being ABC, and you don't want to deal with the headache of all this other shit, let me take care of that for you. I'll fill your schedule. You don't have any of the headache of this other shit. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice, dude.
It is. And you don't work for me. You're your own entity. You don't want to work. You don't have to work. You can negotiate your own rate with me. You're self-employed, and that's what you want to be if you're that sole prop individual. Now, right, that's not a scale. That's, again, you're not going to get to $1 million a year. None of my electricians are going to get to $1 million a year doing that. It's just not possible, right? The only way they're going to get there is when they hire crews under them, and then they become a real business. And then in which case they're going to want too much money from me to cover their overhead. So then they're going to need to go generate their own leads. That's just a different business, and that's fine. But those individuals, like, that's my bread and butter. For cleaners, for exterior service providers, I mean, my Christmas light installer is a guy who has himself and a crew of 3, and they are awesome at putting up Christmas lights. They're quick, they're efficient, they know exactly what they're doing, and they just aren't that good at getting leads because they're in the field all day. So even when they do get leads, they just go to voicemail and they call somebody else like me who's sitting at the desk and actually answers the phone and sells the job and sends that crew out to do it. And the customer pays a premium, but they get a premium experience. So, I mean, it's really a win for everyone. If there's anyone to be upset about this business model, maybe the customer is like, well, you're just charging me, a premium when I'm really only getting $8 a foot worth of labor cost, but I'm paying $17 a foot. It's like, welcome to business. Like, you go to Walmart, you pay $4.50 for your pack of Oreos. That didn't cost Nabisco $4.50 to make that. You paid for the packaging, you paid for the cookie, you paid for the guy on the assembly line, you paid for the person who shipped it, then you paid for Walmart's employees and Walmart's utilities, and this, like, that's commerce. That's how it works.
That's how it's always worked too, honestly, man. At the end of the day, like, don't be, what do they say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's
Amen.
what it is.
What it is. If you want to go back to a barter system and it's like, I do your lighting and then you cook my meals, like, we could do that, but that's not, no one wants that, right? We want to just transact with money and make things easy. So you pay a premium for infrastructure to be in place, service delivery, customer service, sales acumen, just general business acumen, ease of use. I mean, even the simple fact that, like, I take credit cards, like, these guys I sub to don't have credit card readers, and even just something like that gives you an added layer. If you went and found my guy on Facebook and he was like, yeah, just Zelle me the first half up front, you'd be like, I'm not doing that. Like, you're just a random guy I found on Facebook. You want to Zelle you $1,500? I'm not doing that. Okay. So you're going to pay a premium. Like, you're going to pay for convenience and ease of use and security and all of that.
Information process. Whoo! But it's so much good information too, which I fucking love. Parker, this is the portion of our episode where I feel like I'm on, like, one of those, like, Jimmy Kimmel, like, all right, this is a part of the show where okay. But this is a part of the show where we do a lightning round question, 10, 15, depending on how I'm feeling. 10 to 15 random questions, super quick, super easy. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do this. All right. Let's see. I need the most randomest one too. What's your go-to cheat meal?
Ooh, true cheat meal.
Like true, like not like half-ass, like a full ass,
not like a steak. Like, no,
yeah,
like,
not like
true. I would say true cheat meal is probably either all you can eat sushi, and, like, I'm talking, like, eating until, like, I'm, like, gonna throw up, or
I love that,
or like some greasy ass pizza. Like, I could eat a whole pizza by myself easy. Like, yeah. Okay. No, that's probably my go-to.
Oh, okay.
I will say, I'll hop in real quick. Dude, I went to Chicago this past September. I did a cross-country road trip with my fiance. I was not impressed with the deep dish pizza, dude.
It's an acquired taste, I mean, I feel like there's times, like, if there's a lot of times I don't want deep dish either. I do love deep dish. I'm a fan, but no, there's definitely, like, you got to be in the mood for that, man. Like, that's heavy.
That's heavy as fuck, dude.
A lot of sauce, a lot of dough. I mean, it's like you eat one slice of deep dish pizza and you ate like 10 slices of pizza. Like, it's a lot.
Nah.
So, which is where I think we fucked up too, because we got a whole pie of it, and I was just like, I had one slice, so I was like, I'm done. I'm over this right now.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot. I don't. Where did you get it from?
Giordano's. I don't even know if I'm saying.
Giordano's, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good deep dish pie, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I think that one and Lou Malnati's are probably the top two. Those are like the Chicago classics. Like I said, I'm a fan, but I could totally see why other people don't like it as much.
Yeah, I'm never gonna have deep dish, bro. Just looking at it, I'm just like, they put the sauce on top of the cheese. I never understood that shit.
Hey, that's
So,
fair, man.
yeah,
You know what?
I just never understood it.
Well, good.
You go to a gas station, right? You're just picking up a drink and a snack. What's your go-to?
White Monster. That's like a non-negotiable. It's gonna be a White Monster. And then if I'm going for something salty, it's gonna be like a teriyaki beef jerky. And if I'm going for something sweet, like candy, then I'm gonna go for probably like a sour gummy worm, or I love like a sour peach ring, like some sour candy like
Sour
that.
Skittles, bro. Sour Skittles. Oof.
Something chewier than that.
Like
gummy.
like a gummy worm type shit. Like the
exactly.
I know what you're talking about. Mine is the very very gummy worms.
Yeah, the trolleys.
Yeah, the trolley, dude. Those are fucking smack good.
That with a White Monster, I'm good to go, man.
Yo, no bullshit. And this is very like synonymous to the trades, where White Monster is the official drink of trade. I don't know if you know this, but
I know that.
but like, dude, like
It's true.
I shit you not, like we have like I think 4 or 5 guys on site, at least on my plumbing crew, and at least 3 of them or 4 of them drink like 2 monsters a day, and it's always the White Monsters. And I'm like, buddy, you're gonna die. You're gonna have that's a lot. You're gonna die.
I do limit myself to 1 a day.
Are you doing the big cans or no?
Yeah, the 16-ounce can. Yeah. It's not the 24, the 16. That's like the classic Monster can. Yeah, I think, like for me, honestly, it's like a reward, dude. Like and I don't drink caffeine in the morning. I prefer it like early afternoon when I'm starting to come down. So like I get up, I get my workout in, and then I work. And then normally at like 12 or 1, I'm like starting to lose energy. And then I crack that White Monster and it just like locks me right back in, bro. Like I'm ready to go again.
Is the number one show that you're hooked on right now?
I'm not a TV guy. I don't like TV.
Oh, do you like movies?
No.
Okay, all right. We're gonna skip this question. I'll tell you mine though. Stranger Things coming out part 2.
I've heard a lot of good things, man. I've heard my wife watches TV all the time. Like she just has it on as like background noise. Like she's watching New Girl right now. That's like a classic women's sitcom there. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not a TV guy.
I respect it. Do you watch sports on TV or no? Nothing.
No, man.
Wow.
I really don't like the TV. When the TV goes on, I just go to sleep. Like I don't have a TV in my bedroom.
That's fair.
Only TV's in the living room, and if it turns on, man, I pretty much always just fall asleep. Yeah,
I'm the same way too. My couch is comfortable as fuck though. So,
Same.
all right, let's see. Jesus, so many over here. Are you a call guy or a text guy?
I text people, but I prefer to be called. I just get like 300 texts a day, probably on average. So I prefer to be called if it's important. And the people that know me, like just call me if they need something. But I am more of a texter than a caller because I'm on Zoom calls pretty much all day. Right? I work very remote. Yeah, I'm that would be my answer.
Let's see. If you had to start over with only $500 in your account, but you have all the knowledge you already have gained, what's your first move?
I mean, I could build my cleaning business again with $500 for sure.
Yeah.
So I would do that. But if I couldn't do that and I had to do something different, I would pick a very niche thing, like wholesaling real estate. Maybe even more niche than that, but like something like that. And then I would film myself on TikTok and Instagram, earning this skill and then applying it and building a business. And I would simultaneously establish myself as like a micro authority from a content creation side while building the business. And I think those two things hand in hand, like that's the dream combo right there.
I like that a lot. Let's see. One word for AI.
Promising.
All right. You want to elaborate on that some more?
Yeah, I don't know if it's there yet. I don't know that it's as amazing as everyone makes it out to be, but it's very promising. And I think getting ahead of it and learning how to utilize it and making future plans for it is a great thing to be doing right now.
Do you think it could take over, like, some certain aspect of like home service businesses, like, like, because we're starting to see it a little bit now, right, with the
Yeah,
calls, with the automatic calls, or like the automatic GMs and everything like that. Do you see that like progressing even like further? Obviously not to
yeah,
the point where it's like labor like intensive,
it might be. I
Yep.
mean, what they're selling that fucking house cleaning robot right now that's like in pre-order, and it's like a literally a live-in robot, and you can buy it for like $300 a month, and it's just like your slave. Like it just works all day. It does your dishes, cleans your house, all this stuff. Now, obviously, we haven't seen it in practice yet. Like, we don't actually know how well it's going to work. But yeah, I think it's also AI is a little too blanketed of a term. Like, I think like an automated text follow up is not AI. Like, it kind of is, but like it's not. It's more of like a workflow than anything else. But yeah, I think there's still always gonna be a human element to things, and, like, when I get a phone call and it's an AI on the other end and I can tell, I hang up. Like, I'm not sitting there and listening to that, so, you know, it's
I'm the
there
same
it
way.
it two-way street. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Since you are a soccer player, who is the GOAT?
Messy.
Ah, my heart, my heart, dude.
Hey,
Shit. No
this
hesitation.
helps. This is when we go back to, the numbers don't care about your feelings, right? This
Yeah,
Mhm.
is
that's true.
that's where the conversation goes for this one for
This is
me
a
too.
this
It's
is a
like,
this is a full circle moment right now.
the numbers don't care about your feelings. Ronaldo is far and away the more inspiring player. His passion, his story. I mean, he is like the one you make a movie about. But when you just want to talk about the GOAT, I mean, just production and excellence of the highest form for decades, it's Messi. I mean, that's it. That's it.
Uh, I agree with you, but I'm such a Ronaldo fan.
That's
I'm a
fair. I love
I
Ronaldo.
yeah
I'm
yeah
not a Ronaldo hater at all.
yeah yeah.
But I just think if you make me pick, the numbers say Messi. Your
Mm.
heart might say Ronaldo, but
Numbers say
it's
Messi. I respect that. I respect that a lot, sir. 100%. Last one. What's your morning like habit? Like, do you have like a schedule where it's like, a few habits that you do? Like, do you wake up at 4 a.m.? Do you do a cold plunge? Do you do like what do you like? Do you have that, or do you have like habits that you always like that habits that build success? I guess is like I guess
yeah,
the question.
yeah. I think, and this is probably the perfect way to close this episode out. It doesn't fucking matter. All that matters is whatever you decide that you're going to do, you do it. That's it. When you make your plan, when you make your morning regimen and the alarm goes off, get the fuck out of bed and go do it. Whether that's at 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 8 a.m., whether that's starting with a cold plunge and meditation and sauna and EMF light therapy and blah, or whether that's waking up, splashing some water on your face and sitting down at the desk and doing some work, or whether that's waking up, throwing a banana in your backpack and going to work, like whatever it is, whatever you set as the standard and the objective for yourself, don't let yourself slip below that standard, right? There have been many, many periods of my life where I am like 5 a.m., up before the sun, cold plunge, sauna. I walk to my gym. I get a run in. I get a workout in. I walk back. It's like 7:30 in the morning, and I've already got like 5,000 steps in. I got a full workout in. I plunged. I sauna. Like, I'm feeling like a million fucking bucks. There are time periods in my life like that, 100%. And there have been time periods in my life where I wake up at 8 o'clock, I sit down at my desk, I work until 10 p.m., and I unplug and I go to sleep immediately. And I do that 7 days a week for months. Like, and I don't work, like, I didn't work out for the last 4 weeks in a row. I got my first real workout back today. At 4 weeks, I haven't worked out. That's like the longest that I haven't worked out in years. And I made a fuck ton of money in the last 4 weeks, man. Like, sometimes that's life. Like, life is
Yeah.
cyclical. You set the expectation for yourself of what you will let slide and what you won't, and you hold yourself to that standard. There is no winning routine. There is no winning individual habit. The habit is discipline. That's it. it's sticking to whatever you set for yourself.
That's a mic
so
drop.
That's a mic drop. Parker, we're going to give you a final minute. Your floor is yours, buddy. Any plugs, anything you want to say, the floor is yours, buddy. Go right ahead.
Yeah, man. Only thing I really want to plug, my YouTube channel, at Parker J. Smith. Posting a lot of value content on there, a lot more new stuff coming. I love YouTube because it gives me a platform like this interface over a long period of time, as opposed to trying to cram it in a hook and a reel and in a CTA and all. I hate that shit. So I don't do a lot of short form. If you do want to follow me though, I post a lot of stories every day on my Instagram at Parker J. Smith, Twitter or X at Parker J. Smith, TikTok at Parker J. Smith. I mean, my name right there in the corner, Parker J. Smith. That's where you find me everywhere. Even parkerjsmith.com if you want to get more information about my partner program and everything I'm doing over there. But I just appreciate you guys having me on here. I'm glad we got to connect for this. And to anyone who watched this full episode and you're still here, you clearly have something that is, pulling you to want to get to a level higher than where you are. And whether that's just pushing yourself to be a little more disciplined and make a little bit more as your sole proprietor that you're running, whether that's making that first key hire or expanding to a new marketing channel or, making a jump out of a 9-to-5 and into something working for yourself. If you are willing to do what is necessary to achieve the goal, you will achieve it. That's it. It's the math doesn't care about your feelings. Input equals output. And the world is yours for the taking. That's it.
Amen.
Thank you so much for being on. Alex, you want to say anything before we close this chapter, this beautiful chapter?
I got nothing, man. Parker, just thanks for coming on, brother. We really appreciate you.
Parker,
absolutely, guys.
You're the best, Parker. This has been the Built to Rise podcast. This has been Alex, Parker J. Smith. We'll see you guys next time.